Good Tuesday afternoon, everyone. I'm meteorologist Valerie Mills. Welcome into SkyTower weather now. What a difference a day can make. Check out the view right now as we look out on St. Pete Beach. This is the view from our Serrata Beach camera, seeing a lot of blue sky out there. Just a couple of clouds off in the distance. Tons of people out walking, enjoying what overall has ended up being a really nice beach day. We started out with a bit more cloud cover today, but a little bit of lingering moisture will allow for some isolated showers and storms. Coverage though much more limited compared to what we saw out there yesterday in particular. Let me roll back this video that we got right in the Sarasota area. This was taken by someone driving through Siesta Key last evening, where all of the heavy rain that came down on Monday causing some pretty intense flooding for parts of Sarasota. This specifically in the Siesta Key area, where you can see cars kind of struggling to drive through these floodwaters. And the girl who actually took this video, she says she's been driving in this area for 20 years and has never seen flooding quite this bad. And so, yes, we did need the rain, but it can kind of overwhelm the system at times, especially when we are just getting out of our dry season and back into our rainy season. It's better that we ease back into it with the rain rather than getting these really intense and heavy rainfalls like we saw out there on Sunday, but particularly more widespread across the area on Monday. So we take you to downtown Tampa, 84 degrees, winds out of the west right now about 8 miles per hour. A couple more clouds here as we head away from the coast, but just look at these rainfall totals. These are over the last 3 days, so they include Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. You see this kind of swath here right across parts of the interior, kind of extending from Kissimmee down through Sebring and kind of right to the east of the Arcadia area. We got this really heavy area of rain that just kind of continued. We saw some training where heavy rain and storms were just kind of continuing to move over the same areas. Sebring, some of our radar indicated rain totals nearly 10 inches, and you can see anywhere from 5 to 10 inches in that kind of bright pink color that we see there. Right around Bartow, Fort Meade, 3.5 to 5.5 inches for you. Sarasota, Bradenton, around kind of some of those areas, seeing upwards of 4.5 inches down near Laurel. That was the case as well. And so then we get into parts of Pinellas, Hillsborough, up into Pasco and Citrus counties, where we were generally seeing 3 to 4 inches of rainfall on the high side. And of course, not everyone benefited from those higher rainfall totals. It did kind of localize, and so there were some areas that saw much higher rain and some more kind of low end rain amounts depending on exact locations. But Tampa International Airport, record rainfall for you on Monday, 1.62 inches of rainfall. The old record 1.44, but look at how old that record was, back in 1951. So this is a long-standing record. Down in Miami, they also smashed the rainfall record on Monday. And we did see some issues there with some street fall flooding in just a couple of hours. Basically, by around noon yesterday, they were dealing with up to 4 inches of rains. And so that was a big rainfall total in a rather small window that came down for parts of the Miami-Dade area. 3-day total there in Tampa, you see it 2.39 inches. So we basically got about a month's worth of rain in a day, 2 days here. Now, keep in mind, May is still one of our drier months. It's actually our 6th driest out of the year here in the Tampa Bay area. But now we're running with a surplus thanks to the rain that we picked up on, about an 1.5 inch surplus for the month. And as for our yearly rainfall totals, we've gotten just over 10 inches at the airport compared to at this point in the year, we'd be running just over 11. So rain deficit there, about an inch, not too bad. And especially we know here around the Sunshine State, once we get into the rainy season, these deficits can quite literally be wiped out in a day in some cases. And so these 3-day rain totals kind of span across the area from Brooksville and Sarasota. 1.25 to 1.5 inches for you. Inverness, 1.8 inches over the last 3 days. Winter Haven, a little over 2 inches for you. And of course, we know around St. Pete and Tampa, we were closer to that 2.5 inch rainfall range. That was a bit of a tongue twister there. We check on satellite and radar out there this afternoon, and we can see a little bit of that activity moving across the state, but overall, we have built in some much quieter weather. That is going to start today and just kind of continue on this drier trend. And in fact, we don't really have any significant rainfall in sight as we look ahead over the next week or so. And so the rain that we got, hopefully you did soak up those kind of rainy moments that we've had the last few days as we start to talk about more heat and more dry weather in place. A couple of clouds kind of drifting in across the state. You see this batch here as it kind of is moving in from the west, and overall some of these passing clouds will be possible today, but through the rest of the day we're overall going to be talking about pretty slim chances for showers and storms. And so let's switch on over to SkyTower radar here, give you a closer look at what we're seeing here around the state. Notice quite a different picture from even this time yesterday. We were starting to watch that line of storms push off to the east coast, but still a lot of our interior areas around this time on Monday we're dealing with some locally heavy batches of rain. And now we zoom in, we have to kind of look around to see where the showers are. We see this kind of area right outside Orlando, Kissimmee, where a couple of those showers coming down right now. Nothing too heavy. I'll kind of zoom in a little bit more to show you the area, but right around parts of I-4, Oak Ridge to Orlando, and we kind of see that extending through parts of 417. Very light rain coming down. Nothing too much of an issue there. A couple of light sprinkles too on the northern side of Polk County. We kind of see those just outside of Polk City, Haines City areas, but very, very spotty in coverage. Just to the north of Dade City, a light shower kind of drifting off to the north and east. And so we generally kind of will see these moving from south to north, mostly kind of drifting off to the northeast. So any of those showers that do pop, that's kind of the direction that we'll generally see those head. We look here to just south of Fort Meade. That's another spot where light area of rain kind of drifting in from the west for you. See that right outside the Brewster area, but just notice how light in coverage all these are. Shouldn't expect anything too heavy as far as the rainfall that will develop out there through the remainder of our Tuesday. We look off to the coast here, a couple of really light areas of rain that have drifted just outside parts of South Tampa, parts of 41 as well, and then right outside of the Clearwater area, and just kind of heading just to the south of that, we do have this one little area that's coming right on shore here. We've got a couple of light sprinkles around parts of Pinellas, Largo, light rain for you, and then kind of right around Clearwater, Bel Air, you see that batch of showers that's kind of drifting in from Indian Rocks Beach and kind of up into these areas. And so we'll continue to keep an eye on this for you, but shouldn't expect anything too impressive as far as the rain coverage that continues through the rest of this evening. So here's a look at how it plays out here on our Fox model. You see the model picking up on a few of those, but they clear out pretty quickly. Coverage very light today, and that's as high pressure has started to build back in across the Gulf. And again, this is going to drive some much drier and some much warmer weather the next couple of days. And so we play this out through Wednesday on into Thursday. And you notice not any rain hardly is coming our way. We're going to see that stay a little bit farther to the north of the state of Florida here over the next week or so. And so rainfall not really on the map. And so you remember us talking about this last week. We had really the entire state of Florida under the risk for several inches of rain. Now we're back to seeing more of that dry season pattern with hardly any rain accumulations expected across the state. Come June, July though, look at Tampa's average rain jumps up to over 7 inches and then topping out over 9 inches for the month of August. Here's our latest look at the drought monitor, which we are pretty much seeing almost the entire state under some level of drought, whether it's abnormally dry, that's the color that we have here in yellow, to the extreme drought. And so we've seen more of this extreme drought spreading across the state, where we've got these red colors just to the south of Daytona, kind of just stretching through parts of Polk County down to parts of Manatee, Sarasota, and then our inland areas, all across Alligator Alley. So now we're talking 26% of the state under this severe and extreme drought, or I should say 26 under extreme drought, and then severe color, that's where we have this all across our Tampa Bay area in that orange color. So yes, we are really watching those grounds and those soils drying out, but you look at the 30-day rain needed to completely end the drought and the drought conditions that we're seeing. And these numbers may look high, but we know here in the state of Florida, it doesn't take a whole lot of time for us to pick up on 9 inches of rain. You remember the rain totals around Sebring? Some of those areas did pick up on close to 9 inches of rain over a very short time frame. So just wanted to give you a look at where we're at with our latest drought conditions before we start to really flip the pattern and talk more about the rainy conditions overwhelming the system. Temperatures right now, we see the low and mid 80s for a good portion of the area. Some temperatures even still in the upper 70s as we look closer to Haines City, Winter Haven area sitting right at 82. It's 84 in Tampa, St. Pete right at 80 for you. I've got 78 28 as we head further north into Pensacola, Key West, Marathon. Temperatures there upper 80s for you, but feeling slightly more pleasant as we've seen that drier air move in on the backside of the front that rolled out of the state on Monday. Now dew points in the mid and upper 60s, and so overall feeling more comfortable than the really muggy air that we had all weekend long, where we were feeling dew points in the low and mid 70s. And of course, when we have that high moisture content, it just feels much more sticky and warmer out there, especially in the afternoon, as we talk about temperatures above average in most cases. There's a look at the next 3 days, though. More of this comfortable air staying with us to close out the week before we start to see those humidity levels spike yet again. And the big picture here moving forward, we've got this ridge of high pressure, and aloft, we are overall going to start to see a heat dome that builds back in across the southern tier. That is going to be bringing some big time heat all across the deep south over the next extended forecast time frame. And we see a couple of storm systems that roll across the northern tier of the country. I'll roll this back for you. Storm system after storm system, but they stay well up into the north. And so things active as more rain and snow actually diving in to parts of the Intermountain West and the Rockies, but none of that is going to make it down into our neck of the woods. So you look at the temperature trend over the next 10 days, and we are just going on up. We'll be at or above 90 almost each and every day. This runs through May 23rd, and so hope you're ready for more of these summer-like feels, because they are certainly going to start to creep back into the region. For tonight, forecasting 73 in Tampa, low to mid 70s, kind of from Venice up to Clearwater, then 68 tonight, Newport Richey, Crystal River, Brooksville, down into Wesley Chapel, right around the mid 60s for you, Lakeland and Frostproof mid 60s as well, Winter Haven bottoming out around 68. So overall, comfortable tonight, mainly clear conditions, and mostly sunny tomorrow with west winds about 5 to 10 miles per hour for our Wednesday. As we bump up these temperatures just a couple more degrees, we're talking 87 in Tampa, and those interior counties making a return back into the 90s. All right, time to play Guess That Camera. Do you recognize this city? Yes, it sure is along the water. Big boating community here. You can see the gloomy conditions. We are seeing some rain in the forecast for this area. I'll take you where this is right on the other side of this break. Hey everyone, welcome back into the show. Before I sent you off to the break, I gave you a peek at another place in the country. Do you recognize where this camera shot is? A little gray, a little gloomy, but still looking pretty good here in the Annapolis, Maryland area. A little bit on the cool side, 68 degrees. Winds out of the east-southeast right now, 13 miles per hour. You see some raindrops kind of flying across the camera here. I actually spent quite a bit of time in Annapolis. My brother went to the Naval Academy, so it really is a very special place and always beautiful to kind of be by the water, especially on a nice day. Today, maybe not so much as we are pumping in some rain. We actually have almost kind of an atmospheric setup with this big channel of moisture that's basically flowing up into parts of the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. We see that here on radar. We have this upper area of low pressure, and you can kind of see the general rotation of where these showers and these storms are right now. We have some of those bands hanging out just off the coast there, parts of North Carolina up into Virginia and further into Washington, New York. We see some of those kind of bands of more steady, consistent showers that will continue in a couple of pockets of heavier rain. And look at how many spots are dealing with this. We kind of see it extend to parts of the lower Great Lakes. Cincinnati, you'll look like you'll be in the line for some of those kind of heavier pockets of rain just to the south of you and lifting up to the north here over the next few hours. Atlanta down to the Tennessee Valley, kind of extending through parts of Mississippi as well, all seeing some form of these showers and storms out there. But really the area that we're going to focus in on is this part where we are dealing with these flood watches, and in some cases the flood warnings, where we have those darker green colors. And so it's basically North Carolina through a good chunk of Virginia, and we do see Washington kind of right along the cutoff. These extend on the north side up into parts of PA, but we don't see Pittsburgh included in these flood watches. And so there are certainly going to be some heavy rounds of rain that do cause some problems there, as they are going to continue to stay in this more unsettled weather pattern here for the next couple of days. This is all the same system that brought us all of the rain that we saw out there Sunday, Monday especially. Now that system kind of nudging a bit more up the Atlantic coast, and that's where all of the activity is going to continue to focus as we see high pressure build in and drier conditions. Then we've got this ridge of high pressure and this southerly flow that continues kind of from the heartland up into the northern tier. We're looking at Fargo right now, 92 degrees for you. Lubbock sitting at 96 and San Antonio 95. So we've got another storm system off on the west that'll bring some more active weather. But a big part of the weather story for other parts of the country is this heat that we are seeing kind of slice right through the central part of the country. We are talking some big time heat on the way. Minnesota dealing with temperatures 20, 30 degrees above average. We have seen some wildfires spark up in the area with the continued dry, warm and breezy conditions. And then we look to the south side of that, where heat advisories are in place for the southern part of Texas through Austin, Corpus Christi and Del Rio, especially going to be really packing in the heat. We're talking afternoon high temperatures up to 105, and in extreme cases close to 115 as we head further south along the border there. And so you look at temperatures right now, I mean, just talking about this in the middle of May, we typically see these temperatures in the first triple digits closer to the middle of July. And so we're talking about way too early to be talking 100-degree temperatures for parts of Texas. And we're talking today, tomorrow, no relief from the heat, as we are going to be widespread, reaching for afternoon highs in the 90s to triple digits, and even up across parts of Grand Forks, 95 right now, even International Falls, 88 for you, Pierre sitting right at 90 degrees, and Bismarck, North Dakota, up to 85. And so for them, this part of the country dealing with more of that extreme heat is going to continue, but a little bit of relief is on the way. So the big picture here, as you can see, this area of low pressure that's locked in across the west, and then we've got our other area of low pressure that's bringing the more active weather as we look to parts of the northeast. So I showed you the area of rain here. We've got this other area here further northwest that's going to cause some showers and some snow showers, but then this southerly flow that's kind of whipping through parts of Colorado and up into these areas that is causing these above normal temperatures, stretching into parts of Minnesota, Minneapolis right now, feeling the heat, and all of the Dakotas as well. And so that's kind of the setup there, where we are going to continue to talk about these above normal temperatures for a good chunk of the country here the next couple of days. And Also, that is going to come with a chance for some strong to severe storms. And so right along where that upper level flow is that I showed you, that's kind of bringing in that southerly component and a lot of heat this evening and into tonight may allow for some storms to spark up and become severe. Not a very big threat, but kind of right on the outskirts of Colorado, up into Omaha and outside of Rapid City. Those are some of the areas under an elevated risk for some severe storms. So not a relatively high threat, but we will watch it out there into the evening hours as the storms will start to get going. The big picture here over the next 3 days, this upper level low in the east going to continue to keep things active, as I already mentioned, but then it's kind of a tale of two coast there, where we've got this other system that's going to continue to dive into the Intermountain West, Montana, down into parts of Utah and Idaho, going to be seeing some showers of rain as well as snow. We're not done with snow yet for parts of the high terrain, even into the middle of May here. So we'll continue to watch for really active conditions across the northern half of the country while we talk about more of this heat, and that is really going to be an issue for areas around Texas, but across the Gulf Coast especially, as even us here in the Tampa Bay area, we reach back into the 90s. Above average temperatures are in sight for us pretty much what looks like through the rest of this month. And so we look at our forecast highs tomorrow across the country. 87 in Tampa, but then look at Houston, mid-90s for you. Dallas likely reaching up into the triple digits. You see some of those gloomy conditions for parts of the Great Lakes and the Northeast, where we may top out even in the mid-60s tomorrow for New York City. Minneapolis, a little bit of heat relief for you, but we're still talking near 90 degrees. That's also the case for areas around Kansas City. And then further off to the west, we see some of those gloomy conditions on the icons there, with highs in the 50s and 60s in some cases, with more active weather continuing to dive in from the north and west. Now, as we bring it back closer to home, the countdown is here as we are just about 2 weeks away from the official start of the 2025 hurricane season. That starts on June 1st. At this point, we are forecasting, or I should say Colorado state forecasters with their initial outlook are calling for 17 named storms, 9 hurricanes, and 4 major hurricanes as we start to transition to an ENSO neutral phase in our Pacific. Last year, we were in that La Nina setup to allow for those really, really extreme and enhanced hurricane conditions in the Atlantic basin. And so it's about that time of the year. Start thinking about it, start paying attention, as we will be keeping a close eye on the Atlantic basin. And of course, the Pacific hurricane season, that is actually 2 days away. They start a little bit earlier, and so we will be keeping close tabs on really all of our waterways as things heaten up. Here's a look at the 2025 Atlantic season names list, and of course we know we did retire a couple of names after the 2024 season. 2 of those made landfall right here at home, and of course we had Beryl out across the Texas coast. That one also retired as we close out the season. We've got a couple more things to get to for your local forecast. I've got a really cute video you're going to want to stick around for. I'll show you that right after this short break. All right, my friends, last couple of minutes in the show. And hey, if there's one thing you know about me, it's that I love dogs, love animals. And I found this video and just thought it was too cool not to share. This is actually a dog duo in Connecticut. They look like they're playing around a little bit, but not exactly. You see the little Frenchie there on the ground? That's Yogi. He starts having a seizure actually, and his brother there, that's the boxer named Reggie, saw this, and you can see him start flipping the dog over, get him up and moving. Just really amazing to see. I thought this was really cool, and of course, got to close it out with a couple of your pet pictures from home. It's going to start to feel like the dog days of summer again, my friends, so get ready for it. I know Fred looking ready for it. Of course, we were just celebrating Star Wars Day. Fred dressed to the nine for that. We've got Chico with the bow tie on, looking good, very regal, sitting on the couch there. And last but definitely not least, check out Luca Brasi, got the hat on, the chain on, looking so cute. Thanks to everyone for being with me this afternoon. I'll leave you off with a look at your 7-day forecast, and we'll see you back here, same time, same place tomorrow.